Controversial comments coming from AOL CEO Tim Armstrong surrounding the reasons the company decided to cut back on retirement benefits for its employees. On CNBC, Armstrong placed the blame squarely on Obamacare.
Obamacare is an additional $7.1 million expense for us as a company, so we have to decide whether or not to pass that expense to employees or whether to cut other benefits.
But later that same day, in a company-wide conference call, Armstrong appeared to shift the blame a bit, citing two, quote, distressed babies born to AOL employees. Armstrong said, quote, we had two AOLers that had distressed babies that were born that we paid $1 million each to make sure those babies were okay in general. And those are the things that add up into our benefits cost. An AOL employee listening to that call took some notes and sent them to a tech blogger who then published them online, igniting a firestorm. Joining me now to discuss this, Rowe-Finkbeiner. She's the co-founder of Moms Rising, a group that supports women's issues. Good morning, and thank you for being here.
Good morning.
First of all, I can't believe Armstrong would actually say that on a conference call that included employees.
I can't believe it either, particularly since 50% of the workforce for the first time in history are women and 3/4 of moms are in the labor force. It was flat out ridiculous. AOL as a company is worth $3.7 billion, that's billion with a B, and has 5,000 employees. So two sick babies are certainly not going to break their bank. What we have here is a red herring. We have a scapegoating situation where he's blaming moms and babies for a decision that he made, which is to cut all of his employees' 401k plans. And highly paid CEOs need to step up and take responsibility for the decisions that they make.
Well, it was surprising that he didn't mention any other of the hundreds of expensive medical procedures, cancer treatment, hip replacements. Why single out families?
You know, that is an excellent question, and it's one that I immediately went to myself last night. Sadly, right now in the United States of America, discrimination against moms is widespread. And while this is a ridiculous example, and it's really outrageous, this is not the only time that moms have been discriminated against. Right now, hold on to your hats, maternal status is a greater predictor of wage discrimination than gender. And so we see across the country over and over again, moms with equal resumes and job experiences getting hired less, being paid less, and being blamed for things like this. It's not okay because 81% of women in America do have children by the time they're 44 years old. So this means that while not all moms are called out by the CEO of AOL, most women do experience some type of discrimination due to their maternal status in their lifetime.
Now, in fairness to Mr. Armstrong, he did cite Obamacare as another reason that he had to cut benefits, cut the 401k benefits to employees. So it was both things combined. And a lot of companies are citing Obamacare as a reason they're cutting benefits.
Now that also is a red herring and it's scapegoating. Let's face it, healthcare costs have been rising for decades, skyrocketing even. And from what Mr. Armstrong has said, it appears that AOL has an employer-sponsored healthcare plan, which means that the employer is negotiating directly with the healthcare plan for the coverage of their employees. And that means that Obamacare has nothing to do with it. In fact, the cost cannot be directly related to Obamacare in this instance. So again, we see a highly paid CEO, who I might add made $12 million last year, scapegoating moms, scapegoating Obamacare, really not taking responsibility for stepping up for the decision that he made to cut the retirement benefits of all of his employees. If it was the $2 million that he says that the babies cost, then maybe he could have not taken a raise last year, which was more than $2 million. It's ridiculous when companies put their profits and their own salaries over real people.
Well, in fairness to our viewers, you are a big Obamacare supporter. I should mention that. And we have reached out to Mr. Armstrong, and we wanted to get him on the air, and he's not returned our calls. So thanks to you, Rowe-Finkbeiner, for joining us this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still to come in the newsroom, it is